Explicit Gaming.
Hey guys, Calvin here, bringing you a video on the EXG network today, and yeah, so it's been a long time since you guys have heard from me. Last video I did on the EXG network was my introduction video. There's quite a lot of them on the EXG network before anybody actually uploaded a proper video, but it's all picked up now. EXG network's growing quite quickly, actually, a lot quicker than I was expecting it to. But yeah, so I'm going to start a series. It's not Skyrim as I said it would be. I uploaded the first episode of that on my channel and it completely failed. Well, it didn't fail, everyone loved it, it got so many views. But it was like, I couldn't record the second episode, so many things went wrong, and in the future when I get my new computer, I'm going to be getting Skyrim on that. It'll be so much easier, I can just screen cap it all. Or I can play it on the PS3, or maybe even the PS4, I don't know whether Skyrim will come out on that. But I don't know, I can play it on the PS4 because it's got reverse compatibility. I'm going off on a tangent. So we'll get back on track. So basically, this video that you're watching now is sort of an experimental video episode. It's like the pilot of a new TV show. You know, you put it out to some people. If they like it, then you create an entire series of it. If they don't, then you just stop with the one episode. It saves you investing lots of time and money and doing it all. Not that it will cost me money, but so what you're watching in game in the gameplay, the gameplay that you're watching in the background, real quick, is Killzone 3. The reason I'm using this is because I can't play Black Ops 2. I've been needing to play other games to sort of I don't know, to kill time and stuff. And plus, it's a 20-minute match, which is perfect for the video I'm doing. And yeah, so the series I want to do on the EXG network is something that I think on Sundays, if it goes well, where I'm going to be talking about different parts of science, different things that interest me and interest you guys. It can be fueled by your suggestions. You can go in the comments, tell me what you want to hear about, what part of science you want me to talk about, and I'll do it. But today, because you know there aren't any suggestions, I don't know what happened with the gameplay there, but because there aren't any suggestions, I'm just going to talk about stars. Now, the reason I'm doing astrophysics is because, I mean, that's what I'm going to be doing most of, if I just stab me in the face. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because, you know, astrophysics, it's just so interesting, and every day we find out more and more stuff about it, and it becomes even more interesting. It's one of those things where you find out more stuff, and then it just gives you more questions. So you find the answer to one question, it makes you think of more questions, you know. And it's so interesting. It's becoming a really big part of science, but for some reason it's sort of left in the dark. It's neglected because I have no idea why, but it just is. You know, like in school they hardly teach you anything. They teach you about orbits and our solar system. They don't. I mean, they teach you a little bit about the Big Bang, but what they teach you is wrong. I mean, I was saying how we're making more discoveries every day. Recently, they discovered that, I mean, if you went to school and you learned about this, or if you've been to school recently and you were in year 10, you would have learned that the universe was expanding at a decreasing rate. However, that is not correct. That's wrong. They recently discovered, and the 3 people who did this, actually, I think they were nominated for a Nobel Prize. I'm not sure if they won one, but yeah, it's actually expanding at an increasing rate. So, you know, OCR Gateway, they're teaching you the wrong thing. And the stupid thing is, if you had the exam and you wrote down, like, say, what is happening to the universe is the question, you wrote down, it is expanding at an increasing rate, you wouldn't get the mark. That would have been marked as wrong. Because when they wrote the mark scheme, they had it as expanding at a decreasing rate. So, you know, it just sort of occurred to me, could you sue them for that? I mean, you should get the mark because technically it's right. But it wasn't right when they, I don't know. But yeah, so it's sort of a neglected part of science. Yeah, it's one of the most interesting, and we need to find out about it, because how the universe began, that's like our origin. That's everything about us. That's how we started. You know, we need to know about it. And so what I'm going to be talking about today, anyway, is stars, as I said earlier. And so you probably know that stars are big balls of gas floating around in space, like our sun. But the truth is they're not big balls of gas. I mean, they've got gas in them, but basically a star is made of plasma, which is the fourth state of matter. So you got gas, liquid, no. Okay, so you got solid, liquid, and gas, the first three states, and then you got plasma, which is the fourth state. And plasma requires intense heat, like really high temperatures, to be created. And you may be asking yourself, how do stars make such intense temperatures? How do they get so hot? Well, basically the way a star works is it's got intense gravity. It's got really high gravity, hasn't it? You know, that's why planets orbit around the sun, because the sun's gravity is stronger than any other planet's gravity. And you see, that gravity is trying to crush the star all the time. It's trying to pull it in, but the star doesn't get crushed because it's producing energy. And the way it produces this energy is by smashing hydrogen together, which is a nuclear thermal reaction, and that's how it makes energy. That's how it stops it from being crushed, and that is also how it makes such high temperatures. We'll go back a couple steps, talk about how a star is created first. So basically a star starts off as something called a nebula, which is a large cloud of gas in space. Okay, it contains 97% hydrogen and 3% helium, and eventually gravity will cause this gas to come together, forming something called a protostar. So a little ball. It's like the early stage of a star. It's just a small star pretty much, and eventually the protostar will get more gas. You know, the nebula will come together even more, and it will create a main sequence star. Now, an example of a main sequence star is our Sun. That's in its main life period. And at the core of the star, hydrogen is smashed together, and that's what I was talking about earlier. And that's how it makes energy. But when it smashes the hydrogen together, it creates helium. Now, obviously, it doesn't have an infinite supply of hydrogen, because that nebula had 97% hydrogen, 3% helium. Now obviously whenever it smashes together it makes more helium, so the percentage of hydrogen goes down and the percentage of helium goes up. And so you're probably thinking, like, what happens when all the hydrogen runs out? To be honest, not much happens. What does happen is the star will start to expand, it'll get bigger, turning something called a red giant. Now these can be absolutely massive, okay? They can be 10 to 100 times larger than the Sun, which is huge. And I've actually got the figures here. So our Sun is 864,934 miles. Okay, that's big, right? When I say miles, I mean miles in diameter, which is the entire sort of length across the Sun. Yeah. But the largest star that we know of is around, I think, I don't really know how to read this number, but I think it's 1,729,868,000 miles in diameter. Okay? You can think of that as 1,729,000,000 miles bigger. That's huge. Okay? That is insanely big. And so going back to the hydrogen thing, you know, the hydrogen runs out, but also, obviously, actually I haven't talked about this. What happens when the hydrogen runs out is it just starts smashing helium together. And what happens when the helium runs out is that it will start to make even more elements, so it will make heavier elements. So the helium will be smashed together to create carbon, then the carbon will be smashed together to make other elements, so on and so on. And for example, gold, silver and platinum is made when this happens, and this is where gold, silver and platinum come from. Is a star. When it explodes, it sends all the gold, the silver, the platinum out into space, and obviously it landed on Earth and stuff. So that's why they're so rare, because they come from dying stars. But finally, after platinum is made, it creates iron. Okay, now from the moment a star creates iron, it's over, it's doomed. Iron iron is the most stable element that we know of, and it can't be fused. That means that the star can't make any more energy, and the energy is the only thing that is stopping gravity from crushing the star. And since the star can't make any more energy, gravity obviously does crush it. The core of the star is crushed, the outer layers keep expanding and they're dispersed into space, and what's left behind is something called a white dwarf. Now, a white dwarf has the same mass of our sun, and mass is sort of the weight, but without gravity. Everything has a mass, so it's hard. Just think of it as weight, okay? The mass, it has the same mass of our sun, but it's only 1% of the size. Only 1%. So think about how heavy our sun is, and then squeeze it into a ball 1% of the size, and keep it at the same weight. Okay, it's crazy. Now, this is because the density of the white dwarf is incredibly high, meaning that all the atoms in there, all the particles, are so tightly packed. That's what density is how tightly packed the atoms, the particles are inside. And if you could get a spoonful of a white dwarf, it would weigh over several tons. It would weigh so much, just a spoonful. Which is it's crazy to think about, but that's what it is. But obviously, all stars, stars different sizes, they die in different ways. A white dwarf is just a normal red giant, but you can get these things called super red giants, and they're like the the 1,729,868. I said that wrong. 1,729,868,000 mile in diameter star. That's huge, okay, and that's what we're talking about now. So, because there are many different types of stars, they all die in different ways. Some stars end in a bang, and a very big one actually, and they're called supernovas. There are two types of supernovas. I don't know what the plural is, but basically it's type 1 and type 2. So type 1 occurs when gas from a star falls on a white dwarf. So the white dwarf is what would happen to our sun, it turned into a white dwarf. And then if another sun died, and then the gas from that sun fell on the white dwarf, it would cause a supernova, which is just it exploding pretty much. Type 2 occurs when a star 10 or more times larger than our sun suffer runaway internal nuclear reactions at the end of their life. Basically, that means that they're creating all the different elements, smashing it together, and it gets out of control. It just keeps happening, it keeps going, it's doing it too quickly, it can't control it anymore, and basically, they just explode. They just end in a massive explosion. And they, basically, a supernova, okay, is the brightest thing in the universe that we know of. It has the brightness of 100 million suns for a short while. So, the sun is very bright. If you stare at it too long, you're going to go blind. If you stare at it through a telescope, you're going to go blind. What was his name? Galileo, he found out that the bad way. I think it was Galileo. And, yeah, so think about the brightness of the sun, times it by 100 million, and then put it in that explosion, okay? Now, supernova isn't just an explosion outwards, it's sort of an explosion, and it sort of shoots out these two beams from the sun, and they're gamma rays, which are like, if a supernova hit Earth, let's just say we're dead, okay, no matter what. And, but they're not the only thing that's left over from the death of a large star. And I've heard you, what am I on about? I can't speak today. I'm sure you've all heard of black holes, okay? And the most common theory for how these form is when a colossal star, at least 3 times the mass of our sun, reaches the end of its life, and it is crushed, as I said earlier, when it can't create any more energy because it creates iron, and it can't fuse that. It's crushed by its own gravity, and basically it's crushed so much that it's hard to explain. It becomes so dense, incredibly dense. And a black hole is a celestial body with such an intense gravitational pull that nothing can escape. And basically what a celestial body means is just sort of circle. So just think of that. It's so the gravity is so strong that light can't even escape. That's why they're black, because they suck in all light. And when light is absorbed by something, it can't reflect off back into your eyes, so you don't pick up the colour. That's why it's pitch black in there, because it sucks in all the light and it can't get back to the camera, can't get back to your eyes. So, you know, it might not actually be that colour, but we can't receive the light from it because it's trapped in the black hole. And okay, this is crazy, this bit. A black hole's gravitational pull is so strong, okay, it can distort space and time itself. Okay, there's a theory that if you fly to a black hole and park your spaceship just beside it, time would go slower for you. Okay, so let's say if you stay there for around 5 years, right, you go up to the black hole, you park there, stay there for 5 years, and then fly back to Earth, you would find yourself 500 years in the future. Okay, depending on how closely you park to the black hole, the more it will affect you, because the stronger the gravitational pull, the slower time goes, and the faster you're moving, the slower time it goes. So it's really weird, that, isn't it? It's crazy that that's what would happen, but it is true. It's really strange, actually. So yeah, that's pretty much it about stars. But you know, there's this other thing as well. You know, the original theory is that if you get anywhere near a black hole, you're just going to get torn to shreds because gravity's so high. But obviously, if you could park there, can you imagine doing that though? Just going to a black hole, parking outside it. It sounds weird, but it's true. And the reason why you can distort space and time is because time's an actual thing. People don't realise that. They just think that, you know, it's something we thought of to create order in the world so that everyone can be organised. We just set clocks to tick every now and again, but that's not what it is. Time is an actual thing. Now we are moving forward in time right now. It's so strange that time can be distorted. I mean, I don't know whether I'll leave this to another episode. I'm supposed to talk about it now, but because I'm sort of gotten through everything a bit quicker than I was expecting, actually. But if you've been watching that program called Brain Games on Discovery Channel, if you're in America, I don't know what it's on, probably the Discovery Channel, but it would have been on ages ago, I'm sure. And basically they were saying how your brain distorts time. And what they were doing, they were showing pictures, and it would come up with one picture, and then it would go down, come up with the same picture over and over again. It's just a cat blinking on and off, and the cat would stay out there for 1 second. Then what it would do is it would come up and it would show a picture of some sort of hyena or something. I don't know what it was. They called it some weird thing. I have no idea. It looked a bit like a pig crossed with a hyena. So, Hogina? I don't know. But basically, it looked like the picture stayed up for about 2 seconds or maybe 1.5 seconds. But it definitely looked like it stayed up there for longer. Thing is, it didn't stay up there for longer. It actually only stayed up there for a second, which is crazy because it looked as though it stayed up there for longer. But because it's a new image, your brain takes more time to process it, and it looks like it stays up there for longer. So your brain can distort time. It can't actually distort time, but it can change how time feels for you. And that's really crazy. I don't know, maybe I'll show some pictures of it. If you haven't watched that program, you definitely should. It talks about how your brain can change what you see and stuff. Optical illusion, it's incredible, it really is. And yes, so thanks for watching, guys. If you have any suggestions of what I should talk about next episode, I would love to see them. Please post in the comments, tell me what you want me to talk about. I could do something like dark matter, more about black holes if you want. The Big Bang Theory, that's always a good one. Really deep stuff there. You have to get your head around some crazy stuff. But yeah, if you liked it, leave a like. I want to know what you guys think of this series, so that I really should stop smacking my computer. so I know whether to do another one. As I said, this is just sort of a pilot episode, so yeah, thanks for watching guys, and I may see you or speak to you next week in the next episode.